Hello all, welcome to another What If series with me as always, Honstar. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Rob. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, we're doing as well as we can be expected, I think.
We're,
All
we're
right.
both we're both here.
Yeah, we're both here and it's still cold. So today we're going to tackle a topic that is kind of interesting, um, that I've often thought about. And we're going to take us back to July the 20th, 1944. Operation Valkyrie, as the movie would make it. What happens if now I'm 40 seconds into a video? Let's see what happens if I say this. Now let's be safe. What happens if Delphi gets blown to the moon?
Yeah. What if the plot succeeds and Dolphy doesn't leave that meeting?
Yeah, because I mean, this was one of them ones that damn near got him. And
Well,
I mean, after this,
as we were talking about earlier. I mean, there were so many plots against him, but this is the one that everybody talks about. So to me, it's the one that got pretty
yeah,
close to
this was
hitting the
this was
mark.
pretty. This was nut crunching time. And after this, he got paranoid. He
Super
was
paranoid.
paranoid, and it changed the game big time. So, what we're going to look at today is what happens if that bomb gets him.
We both know he was
And
always so stable anyway, but that's
oh
beside the point.
yeah, totally not. But if he dies there in July, do they continue the war? Do you think?
So that's an interesting question because, and I would have to do more research, but I know they were unhappy with a lot of the things that Dolphy were doing. This like little inner circle of people that planned this bombing,
Yeah.
wanted to get him out of the way and kind of some of the upper echelon of officers take over. But like you said, they never really said, I don't think, and I'm not a historian, but I don't think they ever said, would they end the war or would they just not
Well,
happy
I think
with
it depends on who
if
wins the
Dolphy
power
was doing?
struggle.
Yeah, because there's still going to be a vacuum.
There's going to be a power vacuum
You
because you'll
you
have you'll have Himmler, head of the
oh,
SS.
it's true. Yeah, the SS for sure.
You'll have Goering. You will have Bowman, who's behind the scenes pulling the money around. Or I think it's Bowman or Borman. Anyway, he was the puppet master behind the scenes, mainly protected by Dolphy.
Yeah.
But if Dolphy's gone, I mean, Himmler has the entire SS at his beck and call.
Then then it almost begs the question: would Germany have went into a civil war?
Hmm. I think you would have seen a lot of backstabbing at the top.
Yeah, but nobody, and even Himmler having the SS, somebody would have to get control of the German army itself, and all that to
Yeah,
have.
which would be Himmler because Himmler has the
Yeah,
SS. Um, unless they could tie it into, well, your SS failed our great leader,
yeah,
right? Because they're his protection force. But yeah, I mean, I know
yeah,
that
because the
in
SS technically wasn't even part of the military, right? I mean, it was. I mean, it was
it was and
military,
it
but it was
wasn't.
kind of like its own separate
Yeah, it was.
thing.
It was a thing of its own. Yeah, to a degree. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I think because the feeling was the war was over.
Yeah,
There
and
was no.
and Dolphy was basically dragging it out, and more people were put into the meat grinder.
Yeah. So I mean, I could see Himmler because he tried it at the end of the war. Um, so I could see him trying to come to the table. Okay, we're a different leadership. We never wanted any of this. I could see that, right? We were just following orders, that old line.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but they would have raised the flag, and then under that would have been another flag. It said under new management.
Yeah, under new management, yeah. Because, in a lot of ways, once it was all said and done and the smoke cleared, that was the party line. A lot of things went to, no, that wasn't, like, even in the Nuremberg, it was, that wasn't me, that was so-and-so. And it was always, so-and-so was always dead.
Yeah.
Right?
It just so happened.
Right. So it was blame those who are gone.
I was just following orders.
I was just following orders. I didn't know about all these camps and stuff. Yeah. So I could see them playing it off that way. But with the Allies, and I can say this now, we're 6 minutes in. If Hitler isn't in charge, would they consider a peace?
I would say no for two reasons. One, I think by that time period, the Allies were so into total annihilation of the German army. And also, I don't think they would have, the German, whoever won the power vacuum, and this is just me, my opinion. I mean, I think that they were so arrogant that they wouldn't have wanted to give up what they had taken.
See, I'm looking at it from this perspective. I think you would have had a major power struggle immediately.
Yeah,
because I think you could have Roosevelt going, okay, we'll meet with the new representatives now that he's not in charge. Churchill going, oh hell no.
Well,
and Stalin going, oh hell no.
Yeah, we've talked on other subjects that there was no way Stalin or Churchill were ever going to bow to anything other than total annihilation and win.
Yeah. So I could see Churchill and Stalin being on the same page, and Roosevelt maybe, okay, I can get rid of this and focus on the Pacific.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
So I could see, under new management, Hitler's not in the picture anymore. I could see maybe Roosevelt, maybe, and that's a maybe. That's not, I'm not saying gospel. And again, I'm just spitballing because I have no history degree on the wall back there. But just, I could see maybe, but I don't see Churchill.
I think
I have a very hard time seeing Churchill going, absolutely. We'll come to terms right now. I don't see Churchill doing that. I don't see Stalin doing that at all because Stalin's going for a land grab. So I don't see Stalin being all, okay, we'll stop the Red Army right here.
Yeah, he's just gonna keep going. Like we've talked about before, Churchill was never going to go to the table.
No. And he wouldn't even hear representatives from Germany at any point during the war. I mean,
I would see Roosevelt doing it, especially for the fact of, like you were saying, we had a whole other thing going on Pacific, over here.
And I mean, especially if it hit American newspapers.
And it could get us out of the European theater.
Hitler's dead.
Yeah.
And, the new regime is trying to seek peace. And I mean, you could really turn, to use a wrestling term, turn them into baby faces.
Yeah.
We're trying to end this. The idiot who started this is gone. But they won't even come to the table. They won't even talk to us. He's gone. We want this over. We've been trying to push for this for months. We were the ones who assassinated him. We're done. We don't want this anymore. and they won't
It would
even
be
come to
very
the
interesting.
table. What the fuck?
Yeah, it would be very interesting, especially if you started to have a rift within the Allied powers.
Yeah,
That would make it
because
even more interesting on top of the power grab and who ended
yeah,
up
because
on
I could
top
see
on the
people
German
in
side.
in Britain, but maybe not so much in Britain because Britain, yeah, maybe not. But I could see it in the States. I could see a shift if it started getting reported that, look, what are we? Why are we still, you know, if they change the leadership, if they, we're trying, it was all him, as they did later, it was all him, it was all his idea, and people that are dead, it wasn't us.
Dead
We,
men
we
tell no
we are,
tales.
we assassinated him so that we could come to the table here. Like, what the hell? But I can't
I,
see a Churchill.
yeah,
I just can't. I can't see him going.
uh,
Okay, I'll meet you. Like I
I,
just.
I,
Mm,
I think you've nailed that on the head, and I agree. Stalin, Churchill would not have even thought about,
no,
in my
I don't think it
opinion,
would have
would not
crossed
have
their
even
table.
thought about going to the table.
No,
But
because I mean, for right or wrong, crazy or not crazy. I mean, look what happened with Hess. Hess flew over with a supposed peace treaty, and they wouldn't
oh
even
yeah,
hear him out.
yeah,
He got locked away and told shut up, and like for the rest of his life. Even after the war, nobody could talk to him about it. He couldn't talk about the war. He wasn't allowed till the day he died.
the thing that would get Roosevelt, like you said, is if it made it, which I mean, obviously it would have, if it had made it into the American newspapers,
Yeah.
because the whole push was get the Nazi tyranny out of
Yeah.
Europe and all this other stuff. Well, if Adolf's gone
Yep.
and whoever takes his place is towing a much nicer party line than what
Yep.
Dolphy was, then
Yep.
we
Perception is.
have all this other stuff going on. So then it's like, okay, well then another what if the Americans pull out.
Yeah.
They make a peace treaty with the new leadership because we obviously have kind of some other issues
Well,
going on in the Pacific.
Roosevelt was known for throwing his weight around.
Yeah.
I mean, Roosevelt was the one that pushed for the Russians to take Berlin in the first place.
Yeah.
Churchill was dead against it.
Well, and
So was
Roosevelt,
a certain commanding, tank general of the United States military, namely Patton. But
Roosevelt also pushed for D-Day, didn't he? Because
yes,
Churchill thought that
yeah,
landing in
Churchill
Europe
wanted to
to
go
D-Day
through the
wasn't going to
soft
work.
underbelly. Yeah,
Yeah, they wanted to go the other way
yeah,
around. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I honestly, I think it would cause a rift. Not only would there be the power vacuum within Germany itself for the first little while, but there would also be the power struggle on the Allied side. Because once this hits the papers, especially in the States, I don't
Yeah.
know if the support's going to be
Yeah.
there.
Why are we still here?
Why are we still fighting these people when, they got rid of that dictator and we're not even willing to hear them out?
And A, there's still people dying in Europe, and B,
Mm-hmm.
we have this whole Pacific thing. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
heard, but we have this
Yeah.
whole Pacific thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I think.
I mean, like I said, the sticking point for me is I know for a fact Roosevelt, in my mind anyway, Roosevelt would have hard opposition from Stalin and Churchill. I can't see Churchill, even if Hitler's gone, I can't see Churchill going, oh yes, okay, well let's sit and talk. I can't see that. I can't see Stalin doing it.
Yeah, and
I could see Roosevelt.
The other sticking point would be, is the new regime willing to retreat back to Germany and give back the land that has been taken by Adolf. But then
Well, at
you
that
also
point, if they're going for broke, then I'm thinking what they're going to do is they're going to say anything they can that will appease and end it. If that's their goal,
retreat back to what it
as
is
long as they stay in power. See, I could see
Yeah.
that being the sticking point, right?
But then the other sticking point is the Russians, I don't think, would ever do that. They would never retreat back to Russia and just be like, "Oh, here you go, you can have it back."
No, they didn't historically.
Yeah.
But see, and then that becomes a whole new situation where
it's such a balancing act of so many different things.
Because but again, I even looking at it as much as my brain can do realistically, I can never see Churchill being okay with this. I could see Churchill being forced to be okay with this. Stalin, I don't think so. I think Stalin would be like, well, you do what you want to do, but we're going to Berlin.
And then it still relies on, is Roosevelt.
And then do you have a confrontation between the States and Russia early?
Yeah.
Does then that force Roosevelt to go, no, you stop your army now, or we'll stop it for you? You see, that's
you almost end up in World War III.
Yeah, because you end up with the ultimate standoff.
Yeah.
Churchill is told, sit down. The big boys are talking, right? Which it was done a couple of times in World War II.
Go back to your island. We're doing good.
You owe us a lot of money. Sit down, please. I'm Canadian, so but let's look at this, right? So, I mean, Churchill, and I mean, you look at the end of 45 or 45. This is 44. He lost the election because he was pushing to make sure that Russia didn't stay where it was. And he kept warning of the Russian, thing. He lost the election over that. So the British people, in a way, were sick of this already. Okay, we're done. Let's cash in the chips. We're good. Enough with this war shit.
At that point, they had been fighting for so many years.
So I don't think
a long time.
I could see Churchill getting pressured into reluctantly having to go on side with Roosevelt. And I could see Roosevelt going, well, no, this isn't the same, especially if they put a front man. Somebody who doesn't have major connection. Like if Himmler was in the background and they put somebody in the forefront that really didn't have close ties outwardly to the inner circle, right? So you have, well, look, we've handed it over to blah, blah. Meanwhile, they're under the pay book, but nobody needs to know that. Same regime, different name, basically.
Not that that's ever happened around the world.
Oh, no,
put in
never.
a puppet government.
No, never. Because I could see them doing that.
Yeah,
I could see them having a public, a public front man who can go, well, look, I wasn't part of this, and I'm trying, I was the leader, we put him down. We don't want this war anymore. I could see that. And then I could see Roosevelt being pressured. I don't think Roosevelt's initial reaction is going to be, okay, let's go to the table.
No, it'll
but
be
I could see him being pressured.
People.
Yeah, I could see him being pressured to do so. And then once Roosevelt is pressured to do so, I could see him pressuring Churchill to fall in line.
Well, and I can also see at that point the British people pressuring Churchill because they've been in the war long before we were. So, I say we, the Americans were.
Yeah.
So I could see them also putting pressure on Churchill. Like, look, enough's enough. We've always said we want to get rid of Adolf. We've got rid of him. look, we're
Mission
tired.
accomplished.
We're tired. We're done with this crap. We're done with this crap. Let's
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
the table and be done with it.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think what we end up with is either two scenarios. One, everything just goes ahead as normal,
Yeah, they
where
basically ignore
they ignore them.
basically the fact that Dolphy's gone and everything.
Yeah, it doesn't
just keeps
matter.
on going.
We're still going ahead. Or you end up with a major power vacuum in Germany, and you end up with a split in the Allies. Because I can never see Stalin going on side.
And then the only question on the split is it the Americans and we leave? Is Churchill brought to our side and then Stalin isn't? So then the decision is: do we let Stalin?
It makes
do
no
what
sense
Stalin's
for
going to do, or do we go against Stalin?
See, when it comes now to nut crunching time, it makes no sense for Churchill to go to oppose Roosevelt and side with Stalin, because let's face it, Churchill was not exactly a supporter of the Communist Party.
Because we all know if in theory this had happened, and depending on how it happened, Stalin wouldn't have stopped until he got to France.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, was it now the United States and England against Russia?
I think you could actually. The third option is you have a coalition, a new coalition between Germany, England, United States against communism.
See, I didn't even think about that. New manager in charge.
New management.
You're the kinder, gentler German party. Now our big thing that we're worried about is communism. So let's all ally together, because obviously Germany's going to want the land back that was taken by Stalin. And if they agreed to concessions like, hey, pull back from France and all that, and we'll help you push them out the other way of Germany. So,
and there were people in Germany that wanted that.
Yeah, that.
So I could see that happening, and Churchill would not have a choice in the matter, I don't think.
Yeah,
Churchill would not be happy about it. Although he would be happy in one sense, because he'd get he'd get to push the Russians back.
Yeah, and you see peaks of it towards the end of World War II. Is okay. Well, the enemy of my enemy was my friend, but now
we need to have a conversation.
We know that communism is. I mean, obviously Nazism was horrible, but now they're also seeing that communism is also not the way.
Yeah.
It was almost like they signed a pact with the devil.
Yeah. So in a sense, I think, honestly, I think the latter would happen, where at first the pleas would go unrecognized, and then if it hit the papers and there was enough public pressure, I could see Roosevelt having to go, okay, we need to at least meet with them.
Well, especially if they're talking about ending aggression, because we have aggression we're worried about in the Pacific.
Yeah, so, I can see it starting as a ceasefire.
Yeah, exactly. Start as a ceasefire.
And then there'd be a conference and yada yada yada. Yeah,
the American people are going to say, "Look, this sounds pretty good. We have this.
They're willing to surrender. On. What the hell?
Yeah.
So and then if I could see Stalin is not going to be a happy man.
No, and I agree with you.
I never see Stalin being okay with this plan.
I don't think he would ever bow to any plan.
So I think what would end up happening would be you'd have England and the United States coming to the table, and then Stalin going, okay, I'm out. And
then it just
the Red Army is going to push, and that's it. And then you end up with a standoff.
and then you have the United States and England deciding whether they want to go against communism or not. Because as you both know, as we both know, and as I was saying a minute ago, they already knew communism
Yeah.
was bad. Was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. So
They just wanted Stalin
just-
pushing from the other side. Is really the only reason that was ever a thing.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. But I'll let you push your stuff and we'll get out of here.
I'm youtube.com/Hawnstar. I do fun live streams, sometimes once a week, sometimes twice a week. Just fun stuff. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I can never point right at Hawnstar YT. I always get the camera part wrong. At Hawnstar YT, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter.
All right. And I also have the secondary channel, History with R&R. Please, if you're not already subscribed there, subscribe over there. We do some interesting history stuff. Over there, we don't really go into the what ifs too much over there. We try to keep it as factual as we can. And with that, take her easy, folks.
Bye, everybody.